Back on Sports 225 with Danielle Scott, the five-time Olympic volleyball player from Baton Rouge, from Woodlawn High School via Long Beach State, via pro volleyball in Italy, Japan, and Brazil, and Olympics all over. In the last segment, we talked about her first 4 Olympiads this past July, and she was in London. I was very skeptical of what London was going to do for these Olympics. It seemed like, a couple of years ago, I was kind of concerned, and then it seemed like in the last year they pulled it together beautifully, and it went off perfectly, didn't it?
That's pretty much how it usually works. Everyone's like scared and thinks it's not going to come together, but that they're running late, the timeline for things, but usually right at the end everything falls into place, and I think London did a really good job. Our venue was a little bit far, but so we had other training facilities, as we usually do. That's a little bit closer and more convenient for our schedules, but they did a really good job. The food was great there too. We had a lot of different options with African or the best of Britain, or they had the Asian, and just great selection there.
This is in the Olympic Village.
In the Olympic Village.
Yeah. Now, you're the oldest person, one of the oldest people staying in the Olympic Village. Do they make fun of you? Do they call you grandma or mom, or do the kids on the team, any of them have any of that for you? And
that's quite funny that you said that, another host. Yeah. I was told that they called me Granny, or the mother hen of the team. I was like, really? I didn't know that. That must be something they say behind my back. But I think that's just the kind of respect that they have for me, that I am an older player, and that they respect the experience and what I bring to the court and to life as a friend.
Yeah. Well, you better respect her, because I've seen her hit a volleyball. She'll break your face.
It's mutual. It's mutual.
Well, I have the good fortune of being friends with Hugh McCutcheon, who was the Olympic volleyball coach. He was our men's coach when they won the gold medal in Beijing. I've gotten to know him really well in the last year. And he was, of course, the women's coach this time around, and now he's the head coach at Minnesota, and he's the one who invited me to practice in Anaheim back in May. I was out there for other stuff. I will tell you that I've been to a lot of sporting events and a lot of sporting practices. That day, and of course people were trying to make the team, but these women, and I'm 6'2½", and there were at least 5 or 6 people taller than me on the courts, at least, maybe 6, maybe more than that. And every ball that was hit that day was hit with a sense of purpose, with great violence and speed and power. You better have been open for business. Your liberos just got wore out in those practices. Well,
I think it just makes our team stronger when you have such a high level of competition each day, and each ball that's played is important and with purpose. As you said, we try to, Hugh was focused on quality versus quantity. So it's kind of the first quad that we only trained once a day. You could go in a second time for tutoring to work on specifics, but as a whole, in the team, in a group together, we train once a day for about 3 hours. And so every ball was with purpose, and you train that way, and it was good, and it was competitive. And I think it made our team strong. For me, it was the most challenging Olympics to get back into things after stopping and having my daughter, Giuliani.
Yeah, no, let's say she's only 28 months old, which, if you do the math, Danielle went into training well less than 2 years after having a baby, and was right at 2 years when the hardest part of the training camp was going on.
Okay, I'm going to do a plug that isn't a plug, because I'm not sponsored by them, but I got on Insanity as soon as I was released to play.
This is a workout thing that people put in their DVD player or something, right?
And that was me, and I would come out of the room sweating. My sister and mom would watch Giuliani while I was preparing and training, and then I take little timeouts because I couldn't do the full workout right after pregnancy. So I modified some things, but I was just determined, and it felt insane. But I think I'm right at that point to get insane again, because I think that's what it's going to take for me to make another Olympics. I'm going to have to be in even better shape than I was before for this one. And so I've already dusted off the dust from those series of DVDs, so it's pretty much time for me to get back in the groove with those.
Well, you're the second person to mention Insanity to me this week, and so forget it. I'll just stick with my swimming and walking the world's 2 stupidest dogs. But nonetheless, that's pretty cool. So anyway, let's get to the London Games. So in the first match of the tournament, the United States was struggling, and they called for the old lady, and they got her in there, and she turned things around just like that. It was awesome.
Right. Well, my role was a little bit different this time around. I wasn't a starter, And I knew coming in that my role, as always, is to try to make the team better around me. But it was more from outside of the game point of view. So I would take note of what's going on and try to give information to my teammates and to make them better, and also just be prepared when called upon to perform. And praise God, I was ready and when given those opportunities and was able to perform well. So I think coming off the bench, it allows you a different perspective because you see how the game is moving and what's flowing and what's working well and what isn't. So when I was given the opportunity, I was able to implement those things into my own game as well.
Well, you were almost like, well, it was like a fifth coach. There was, oh, and I should show that picture, if I can't remember if I mentioned it, that I got to take after that practice with, as you're looking at it, that's Hugh McCutcheon, the head coach, all the way to the right. To the left is Paula Weishoff, who is one of the greatest American players ever, and then Karch Karai standing right next to me. They had to think of Danielle, and I use the analogy for her in the conversation. In baseball, you always hear about good clubhouse guys. She's a great clubhouse guy, and that was, you know, I mean, that's a compliment to your maturity and the fact that, you know, like a young kid who say, like I'll use an example, like they had Megan Hodge, is this superstar, high-leaping, brilliant young player, but she was in the same kind of role, and it was probably a lot harder for her. You probably counseled her, saying, baby, wait your turn, it's going to be fine, keep positive, keep a smile on your face, even though you think you should be in there. And right. I don't know that for, you know, she and I had to discuss that, but I'm sure that had to happen at least once.
Yeah, I told her to be patient, and sometimes she felt the coach was harder on her than others, but I was like, just know that it's because he sees what you can do and what you can be and become as a player and an athlete, and this is all part of growth, you know, and just be open to it.
So anyway, the United States had a great tournament, made it to the final against Brazil, and then it was just one of those days. Brazil was... You guys were a little out of sync, and they were just fantastic.
Right. Actually, the first set, I thought we had a good rhythm. Although they made quite a number of uncharacteristic errors, I thought we came out.
You guys killed them in the first set. Right. And it was something like 25-17 or 25-18.
Right.
But you just knew that Brazil wasn't that bad.
Right.
And, you know.
Yeah, that wasn't their atypical, you know, set. And so, start of the second set, they just started bumming balls at us, like serving tough, and, you know, it took us out of system and our rhythm of play. And, you know, they were able to find places on the court where they weren't able to before. And we fought. We dug some balls, and we had some kills and things of our own, but it wasn't enough for that match, and they were better than us really that day.
They were, but
we're still the best team in the world. I mean, even leading up to that, even though we didn't win the gold, I still believe our team was the best team
well, your
for
body
this
of work,
year.
Your body of work for 2012, without a doubt.
Definitely.
And then, may I? These are heavy. They won the silver medal. They didn't lose the gold medal. I don't care what anybody ever says about that. But there you go. That is it right there. If I hold it any other way, I'll drop it. But it is most impressive, and it's bigger and better than the one from Beijing. You should be just
bigger, better. Okay, it's bigger, but the significance.
Well, silver.
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
the same. You know, I've been to 5, and I walked away the first 3 with nothing. So these, you know, I'm extremely proud of.
No, and I'm pretty fired up to have the opportunity to see them up close. I can't think of another time that I've been around an Olympic medal, and that's pretty cool.
There was a conversation whether they're real silver or not. I'm going to have to look that up. But I'm like, regardless of if it's silver, if it's the size of a quarter, or the size that it naturally is, what it represents is what's important.
What does the near future represent for you? Are you going to continue playing professionally?
The near future, yes. I'm in the midst of finalizing, hopefully, a contract and in Azerbaijan. So this will be my first time playing there. And
look that one up on the map. Better yet, spell it, Azerbaijan.
So I've not ever played there. Several of my teammates have, and they've spoken well about playing there. I'm going to miss playing in Brazil because their season is warm right now. I'm going to real winter. But I look forward to going there soon. And we're going to have a White House visit before that. We get to meet the president.
Sweet.
And so that was actually one of my goals in making this team, too. 1, to make it to the podium, and 2, to meet the president. And so we'll have an opportunity to do that soon. And as well, I may have an opportunity to do a little commentating. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
And, well, there's a lot of things. I'd like to write a book. I would, of course, like to eventually make a 6 Olympics, but again, that has a lot of variables. And what else?
Well, it's a pretty good start since she's sitting with a guy who's written 3 of them. We're going to have to talk a little shop when this interview's over.
Yeah, I read that on your website. I was like, oh, I'm in the right place.
There you
God's
go.
led me in the right direction.
We got to wrap this up, and it's a shame. I could do a whole show with you, but you know, this whole football season gets in the way. She is one of my favorite people, and one of the, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, there's football. Danielle Scott is someone who Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the United States, and for those of us in the volleyball world, couldn't be more proud of. And you have been a great representative, and I know even if you don't make a 6th Olympiad, you'll still be involved in the game, and you'll be doing wonderful things.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, and this is the one from Beijing. How about that? I'm Lee Feinswog. You're watching Sports 225.